Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to episode 105 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered podcast. Please welcome my two fantastic co-hosts. We've got Braggy down there in Adelaide, and we've got Rossi, who's, I think, finally settling down from the Masuak tour down there in Sydney. How are we, boys?
Fantastic, mate. Fantastic.
Very good, Curly. How are you? More to the point, after another marathon.
No marathon this time. It was just a marathon trip. But we'll talk about that a little bit later, because we were just talking about State of Origin, and it would be remiss of Braggy and I, as Queenslanders, just to rub it in a little bit to Rossi. Great game, but wasn't it?
It's as expected. Goes to script.
I was just saying, Rossi, to Curly, that even if I hadn't watched the game, if someone phoned me the next day and said, "What do you reckon happened?" I would have gone, I don't know, maybe Queensland was down with 10 to go and backs to the wall, and we miraculously win. Because it's just, I've read that book before.
With a ragtag bunch of hand-me-downs and misfits and discards from other clubs that no one ever wanted.
Mullets.
And just to throw in the mix, Ben Hunt was in the centres and Dave Fafita was the other centres. We lost both back rowers. I mean, who writes these scripts? But fantastic win.
Peter V'landys.
The same person writes them every year.
And we were talking about the sin bin, about how we were very nervous about a big decision like that impacting a game. And it did impact the game, because it made Queensland stronger in some particular way, shape or form. So amazing game. And of course, we're looking forward to see what New South Wales can do up here in Suncorp Stadium in 2 weeks.
At Lang Park. See, I think Trell being out of the game would make both sides better.
It's just funny. It just makes me laugh, the wash up afterwards in Sydney. The Johns brothers are fighting and
they're eating their own. They're eating their own. They want to send Penrith. They want to shoot everyone who's played for Penrith, and they want to bring in a whole South back line.
It's all those South supporters, isn't it? But I tell you what, Souths are going to be lucky to field a side. They lost another player tonight with a quad strain, so they've got players dropping all over the place. So
and Latrell's still out injured with hurt feelings.
They're saying he won't be playing this weekend. So, so I don't know how many South players you can pick in Origin if none of them are actually. Yeah, Cody Walker, that's it. He's out with quad strain.
Cody's out as well. Gee,
yeah. Well, they haven't ruled him out. Yeah. We won't talk to George. So let's talk about something exciting. The Masuak tour wound up on Sunday with the final gig down on the Gold Coast at Vinnie's Dive Bar. Very special reunion with Mick Medew joining Masuak on stage. And I've seen the video. I didn't get there because
it looked good, Rossi. It looked fun.
I was crook, so I didn't make it. But they sang "Date with a Vampire" and "You Better Run" from Top of the Town. So fantastic.
Yeah. That's cool. We took Chris out for dinner last night and poured him on a plane this morning, and he had such a ball this time around. Our good mate at the I-94 by Craig Barman put the whole thing together. And he had a fabulous band with Stu Wilson, who's ex-Lime Spiders, New Christ, the Crisps, the Rivers, Soul Movers, everybody and his dog, and Tony Bamback, who's your Lime Spiders bass player. And I've never seen Chris happier, like not in 20, 30 years. I've never seen him enjoy himself.
Surely.
The response all across the country was delightful. People were really, it was a really warm response everywhere. Like the messages that have been pouring in over socials, just private messages to Chris in his back channels, just been like overwhelming. It's surprising. Yeah. And yeah, Chris had such a great time. And I got to say, Chris and Mick together is just, my band supported them in Sydney last Thursday night. We played with
Jupiter 5.
Jupiter 5. We played with them, Chris at the Mosh Pit. They played You Better Run, and I listened to it. Yeah, it sounds good, yeah. But then the moment Mick's guitar jangles and sits underneath Chris's, there's that little magic special sauce, and it is spectacular.
And mixed vocals.
Yeah, mixed vocals. But Mick and Ursula played their first Gold Coast show. Yeah, and it was fabulously well received.
Yeah.
They
I enjoy seeing them live. I really do. So,
they're hilarious.
But isn't that just the way you just said that? Mick's guitar sits there underneath. It's the personalities too that are like the same. Mick's just such a quiet. Chris is lovely as well, but he's definitely alpha.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's just that, and that's probably why Chris has enjoyed himself much, because they're just that support and that backup, and no one's in anyone's way. It just I could sense it from those clips you were putting up, Rossi. I felt the vibe on stage just looking at it.
It's just a shame he didn't get to Adelaide. Hey, Braggy. So.
Nah.
Oh well, it's cold down here anyway.
They're cranky about it. Looks cold. Chris's playing was spectacular as ever. Although on Thursday night when we played, I had to run off stage. I ripped off my shirt, put a T-shirt on, and started teching his gear and getting it on. And just before he went on, I actually got lectured because he saw me play some upstrokes.
Oh, no, that's
ouch.
Well, he wasn't so much angry; he was hurt. I think disappointed.
Now, with Jupiter 5, can I just ask a question? What's doing with your lead singer and whatever he had on his head?
I love him.
Jay. That was actually one of his close friends, Sheik the Sheikh, from a band called Sheik the Sheikh and his Royal Camels.
Gotcha.
Who had been around previously. And the Sheikh came out. The Sheikh had some words of wisdom to us. He reminded us that the Sheikh took his people and led them into the sea where they all drowned.
When I first saw it, I thought it was like chain mesh. But which wouldn't have surprised me, knowing how eccentric your lead singer can be.
He did say to me, he said, "Can you let me know 5 minutes before we go on?" I said, "We're going on in 5 minutes, mate."
Oh, he's back.
And I went on stage. We all stood there. He turned up. We never know what he's going to do. and we're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what it is. The Sheik's here.
That's the front man you want.
Yeah, the Sheik has also wrestled professionally.
You can tell.
There's if you look on YouTube, there's a video where the Sheik fought Pork Man at Newtown RSL Club.
Okay.
He was led out by a team of belly dancers. It was hilarious. It really, really was. Like, I just don't know. But on that front, those guys have been really busy. We're down to mixing our last 5 tracks for our debut album, which is
fantastic. Wait. And I noticed on Pocket Watch's socials there is a bit of a "it's coming" thing.
Yep,
in August.
The Pocket Watch EP launch, It's Time, it's called. Yeah. And it's being released on the 4th of August. And there's a launch show that we haven't fully announced yet, but it's at the Place of Pace, the Marrickville Bowling Club, with a couple of young bands. I've been wearing another hat this week as a video director. So we've been shooting a clip on the weekend, which was fascinating. And we're shooting another clip this weekend. So, wow. But they're ready to go. The record.
Do you ever slow down, Rossi?
Yeah, I do. Sometimes between about 11 and 5:30 when I get up, I tend to not do as much.
And it was interesting when I saw Mick and Chris doing "You Better Run," and I was just thinking about how different music is today, because when you dissect some of the words out of "You Better Run," you get a real sense that it just, some of the stuff just may be interpreted a little bit differently to what the song is genuinely about. So, and I took out some of those lyrics, just, you can build a wall, you can build it strong. I swear I'll tear it down before too long. If you don't want me to find you before the day is done, take my advice, you better run. So, and that's just little snippets. And, when you think about the fact that even the police with I'll Be Watching You is sort of considered a little bit cringy nowadays. It's really interesting.
oceans dry. I'll take the highest mountain in my stride. You may build a wall, you can build it strong. I swear I'll tear it down before too long. But if you don't want me to find you before the day is done, take my advice, you better run, run, you better run, run, you better run, run, you better run, you better run.
What about John Lennon's song "Little Girl"?
Oh yeah, there's you can go on forever about
But
you can go on
but
forever.
yeah, "You Better Run" is It's far more metaphorical than I know it's Chris's writing. So
yeah.
Chris has such an eloquent turn of phrase.
It's a beautiful, like, it's got beautiful guitars in it. And just really the way the guitars flow in that song, it's just magnificent. So
that was at the peak of their powers, I've got to say, that era.
Yeah, top
Curly,
of the town.
should I give you a Who Am I start?
Not yet.
Let's start that.
No, not yet. So
I've got an intro for it.
I'll have you.
Who am I?
Who am I?
Funny you mentioned that, because this morning we're out doing a run, Sharon and I, and I said to myself, you know what we should do? We should just grab an old song like "What's My Team," and just do who am I? You know, to the words of to the lyrics of what's my who am I?
There's either the who am I, or you could do who dun 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 dun. dun. Who am I?
We've built it up.
Right,
Part one of Who Am I? Go for
Part
it.
one. I'm going to stump you on the first. I'm going to stump you with the first line.
Yeah.
I was born on February 16th, 1990.
Yeah.
In Toronto, Ontario. I am the only child of immigrants who separated shortly after my birth. I was brought up in the district of Scarborough by my mother and grandmother. I have an estranged relationship with my father. I saw him vaguely when I was 6 and then again when I was 11 or 12, and he had a new family and kids. I don't even know where he lives, but I never judged him. He wasn't abusive. He wasn't an alcoholic. He wasn't an arsehole. He just wasn't there. My native language is Amharic, which I learned through my grandmother. I later became fluent in French by attending a French immersion school and further educated at West Hill Collegiate Institute. When I was 17, I dropped out of school and moved into an apartment in the neighbourhood of Parkdale with 2 friends, including my best friend and now creative director, Lamar Taylor. We lived a hedonistic lifestyle. I often used drugs and abused illegal substances such as ketamine, cocaine, MDMA, magic mushrooms, and cough syrup. I also experienced homelessness and was incarcerated on several occasions during this time. 1990, boys. What were you doing in 1990?
1990? I know I was in a truck going up and down the highway.
It's still a fair while ago.
He's a Canadian, you say?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
I've got no idea.
I genuinely haven't got a clue.
Okay.
Ooh,
that's good.
Okay. All right, guys. Just the first one. We've got a band that's tonight. We're just going to talk about. So it's good to see bands touring again. You know, and I don't know whether it's because I'm more in tune with it doing the podcast with you two legends, but I just love seeing bands, and I'm not talking about Foo Fighters, and I'm not talking about, you know, the big names. I'm talking about hardworking Aussie bands that are out there and they're having a crack. Although I must say, I see the chats have picked up some of the support gigs on the Foo Fighters tour.
Awesome.
Yeah, they have.
Yeah. So, very, very interesting. So this first band I'm going to share has a city tour. It's a 2-city tour that they're doing. And you may know them. So... And of course, we're talking about the Psychotic Turnbuckles.
Best looking bands in Australia. One of the best
Mate,
looking bands.
One thing you've got
Pearl Harbored me.
One thing you've got to give them, they're tight, and there's something I find quite confronting about the Turnbuckles still going. I've got that original single. The
Curly, they're tight and rough at the same time.
Can I say to you that it was released on this label, Vinyl Records?
Yeah.
In 1983.
Absolutely.
And that label has just been reconstituted by Mark Fraser, who runs a venue up on Woy Woy called the Lincoln Pin.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And Mark put out the first Hard-Ons records as well.
Yeah.
But the Turnbuckles records, and yes, the Turnbuckles, they're doing Wollongong in Sydney as a warm-up
to a Japanese tour.
They're going to Japan.
Yeah. They're well known in Japan.
Oh, look, who
maybe
knows? Yeah. All I can say is they'll stand out.
Yeah,
I don't think they will. I think they'll fit right in.
Apparently, one of the shows the Turnbuckles are doing is called the Halloween Ball in Tokyo.
Oh.
It's like a gathering of the garage rock crowd in Tokyo.
They will fit right in. You've seen some of those Japanese garage bands. They're madness.
They are insane.
Insane.
I think it's going to have to be seen to be believed. Frankly.
Yeah. But it's good to see the Turnbuckles, Wollongong, Marrickville, Friday the 28th of July, Saturday the 29th of July.
Can you get any more Australian than that?
And I will report. I'm going to road manage them in Japan, so I'll be able to send you a report from the.
That would be so.
Our
awesome.
Japanese correspondent.
Yeah, that's right. I'll see if I can get an interview with their new bass player.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
That
what
would
do you think
be
about that?
Victor. Victor.
Look, that was the first Turnbuckles song I heard before I'd even worked for them. A friend of mine played it to me, and I was just gone, what is that?
And they've got classics like She's from Albuquerque and Psychotic Situation and just a legendary band, and really confronting that they're still going, I guess, is part of the way that I feel. But it's great that they're still going because they've obviously still got the love of what it is that they do. Very, very unique.
They're both nice yet terrifying.
Yeah. I always visually and mentally I perceive them as something like the Johnnies. That they've got this image, that they've got this story that they just hold on to and play the role just so superbly.
Of course, they would beat the Johnnies up on site.
Yeah. Would they out the Johnnies, though?
Yeah, they would. Oh, no, they could beat them at anything. It doesn't matter what it is.
Right.
They're the kings of the world. They can do anything.
Yeah. They're coming off the top buckle. I don't reckon there'd be any band that could
picking up the chair,
in a
side
match.
stage.
In the wrestling parlance, though, they all think they're faces. Do you understand? Do you know wrestling parlance?
The good
you're either
people.
a face or a heel.
Yeah,
and they all think they're faces when in fact they're all heels. Yeah, they're all bad, but they're all the blokes who turn your back and they'll pull something out of their boot and hit you over the back of the head.
Yeah, just to get a pop from the crowd,
Yeah, and they've done that to me even back at the hotel.
All right, so the next band that I'm really pleased is touring because the lead singer had some really serious health issues. And, of course, I'm talking about Painters and Dockers, and they're about halfway through. They're in Brisbane on the 17th, and then they pop into Sydney on, once again, July 29. That's going to be a big night in Sydney. You can go see the Turnbuckles or the Dockers or hopefully both. And then finishing up in Hobart in August. So very interesting tour. Memories of the Dockers, Rossi, were they ever a band you saw live or?
I've mixed the Dockers. The Dockers I've come across many, many times over the years. Paulie Stewart, the singer.
Yeah.
In my previous professional life, I had dealings with Paulie because his brother was one of the Ballabo Five who were killed in East Timor.
Yeah, he raised money for that. Yeah,
he does. And his brother was one of the 5 journalists who were killed in East Timor in 1972, and that's been a defining part of his life. But Paulie is a really interesting cat. They used to be mixed by the legendary Lobby Lloyd. Lobby Lloyd was their front of house sound guy. Yeah, and occasionally I was supporting them at St George Sailing Club one night, mixing Voodoo Lust, who I know Tony likes,
love,
and the Voodoos were on, and I finished, and often when you're supporting painters and dockers, occasionally you'll get a tap on the shoulder, and they'll say, what happened was I went back to the dressing room, and we just started our post-gig smoking ceremony to just celebrate the finishing of a fabulous gig.
Yeah.
And I got the tap on the shoulder that Lobby had missed his flight, and they wanted me to go back and mix them. Now, my eyes were doing this at the time.
As long as your ears were okay.
Oh, I'm not sure they were. But I went out and, like the Dockers were chaos. They were the Dockers were not unturnbuckle-like.
Very theatrical,
chaotic. And mind you, I saw them open for the Sunny Boys on the last Sunny Boys show.
Yeah.
And can I tell you, he's got a very, very, very good band with him. They are great. Yeah. Like I couldn't remember them being that good. They were fantastic.
I think the last time I saw them would have been maybe 10 years ago on north Brisbane somewhere. I've forgotten the name of and they were phenomenal. They played with a band, the Go Set was their support band, and they were fantastic. And I was thinking, okay, well, I've got my value for money there. The Dockers are getting old. I know Paulie's been a bit crook. And Paulie just blew us all away. And for someone that, faced some illness, he was just amazing that night. So
he's almost turned into like a Jack White character from, like he's just a raconteur, and he's like the ringleader of this band.
He's loose as, isn't he? He's just loose on stage.
Oh, he's loose.
All right, so I tried to find some live footage of the Dockers, so let's just have a little snippet. I think this was live for a TV show, and it's, of course, their classic called Die Yuppie Die.
You know the latest fashion, you know the latest grade, you know
asymmetrical haircut, grass skirt, and Hitler moustache.
Yeah, I was going to say that moustache is particularly risky. But what I think the saving grace for me is that Paulie actually had clothes on.
Yeah, that's
He's
right.
been known.
Yeah.
He has been known to get it off.
I have been at a concert with the Dockers where Paulie's ended up starkers. So.
Yeah,
I know.
Hey, Rossi, isn't like that period of Australian music? How everybody had brass in their band.
Yeah, those guys are called the brass holes.
Yep.
Yeah,
and they're great. Like there was a lot of brass. Like Hunters and Collectors had a great brass section. Actually,
oh yeah,
they had the best brass section.
Yeah.
Well, that's why they couldn't make money. They had so many people in the band with the Hunters and Collectors. But
plus, have you read that?
a true collective.
10-ton theory.
They were socialists. They everyone got paid the same.
Everyone got paid
and
the same.
Yeah. Like
that made Mark
Chumbawamba.
Seymour happy.
Yeah,
Chumbawamba. That's right.
Yeah.
It's socialist collectives, and I think Painters and Dockers were, obviously socially progressive.
Yeah. But you look at that band, and there's just so many contradictions. You've got the double denim. You've got the guy who looks like a nerd with the glasses. You've got the guys fresh out of uni looking, and then you've got Paulie in the middle wearing a hula.
Very democratic.
It's just such an amazing band, and great to see him going. So, and it's great to see that they're bouncing back and they're out there touring. And
I love it. I just think they're just we always thought of them as very much a Melbourne band.
Yeah, we did, didn't we? But when you go back and you look at like Die Yuppie Die, there's Nude School, there's You're Gonna Go Home in the Back of a Divvy Van. You've got The Boy Who Lost His Jocks on Flinders Street Station. No wonder people thought it was a Melbourne band. They are a Melbourne band. But their music has just got so much. Like they wrote do you remember that song called, was it Buzziar, where they wrote about the SBS?
Dr. Bonkowski.
Yeah.
Like they were fun, loose.
Loose. Yeah, loose and fun, and you always knew that you were going to have a great night going to see the Dockers.
They had a particularly unusual PA system that was built over things called J-bins, which were not like a regular PA, and you stacked them up, right? And you had I think they had 6 J-bins aside and a horn on top.
Yeah.
And the only other PA system that was the same was Hunters and Collectors. They owned one exactly the same.
Yeah, I remember those.
And so occasionally they would put them both together for big shows, and it was a really great sounding system, and it sounded like no other system I seem to recall.
There was a band called the Big Five. You remember them?
Yeah.
Played like reggae. I'm sure they had a J-bin, but it was painted in like reggae colours, Jamaican colours.
Red, yellow, green. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, Curly, I'm coming in with number 2.
Go for it.
Just making my own up. Who can it be now?
Oh, that's good. That's good.
That's the one we should use, Aussie. We should use an Aussie band, shouldn't we? In August 2009, I began anonymously releasing music on YouTube. The following year, I met Jeremy Rose, a producer who had an idea for a dark contemporary R&B project. Rose played one of his instrumentals for me, and I freestyle rapped over it. Rose produced 3 songs: What You Need, Loft Music, The Party and After Party. The songs drew some attention online, and they were uploaded to YouTube after they were uploaded to YouTube, and were later included in a blog post from rapper Drake. The song subsequently received coverage from various media outlets, including Pitchfork and the New York Times. My identity, however, was still unknown. In 2011, after assuming a stage name, I released 3 mixtapes: House of Balloons, Thursday, and Echoes of Silence, all of which were nominated for a Polaris Music Prize. I also held my first live performances at the Mod Club Theatre in Toronto. After the performance, I met with Drake to discuss collaborations, which led to me contributing 4 songs on Drake's second studio album. I love it when I stump yous.
You got me. This is really not my strong
that's
suit.
why I picked this one, because it's I would never have got it.
No
Actually,
chance at all.
Well, the last one, you see how we go. The last one. I always bring it home in the end, boys. You know that.
Yeah, you do.
Stop looking
Make
it
it
up, Curly,
obvious
on the
for us.
internet.
No, I'm just prepping for the next song. So,
Okay.
All right. One of our favourite episodes, Braggy, of all time would have had to have been Dave, Graney, and Claire.
Oh, fuck, I'm so nervous.
Was that such a great interview? Well, we were so nervous because this guy's the coolest guy in rock and roll.
Yeah.
And then we just, after the show, we just said, oh, he's just a shit stirrer. So,
He is. I love him.
he's touring. He's touring.
Cool.
He's got 13 dates. Kicks off in Canberra, July 28th.
Adelaide.
With Claire?
Yeah, with Claire. And
Okay.
winding their way through Sydney. They've got 2 dates. Queensland, they've got 3 dates. Tassie, 3 dates. New South Wales, 2. That's New South Wales, like Gosford and region. South Australia, they're only playing once in Adelaide, mate. So,
At the Gov?
And then,
That'd
probably
be at the Gov, I'm pretty sure.
And then WA, they've got 2 gigs. So 13 gigs around with Dave Graney. And I've never seen Dave live, so he might be one that I go and see. So let's just...
Me neither, so I'll go and check that out.
So let's just have a look at Dave Graney live.
I should tell you about my power, about my mysterious kink. I used to go about fully believing I was invisible, the legendary loudmouth, invisible, mysterious rock singer cowboy. I would open my mouth and speak forth. No blues, no news, just hey mate, yeah you over here. Boo. Just for a moment, I would materialize. Yeah. Anyway. People started to talk about this legendary loudmouth, mysterious, invisible rock singer cowboy. I began to cool, come back, materialize, even though I wasn't meaning to. People started to come and see this legendary loudmouth, mysterious, invisible. Yeah, rock singer, cowboy. People would sit behind me at cafes and say he thinks he's invisible. Watch. Geez, you know I hate to keep away. Actually, I tried my best. Then I got quite upset. Then I thought, it's not such a bad thing to be seen as a guy who thinks he can't be seen, even though I know I can. I mean it. Certain circumstances, certain places, anything goes if you're known. If you got a name around town as a guy, you'll do anything if nobody's looking. But if everybody's looking, cause they think he thinks he can't be seen.
Definitely a different experience I'm taking going to see Dave Graney live.
Yeah.
It's a bit of a Zappa style narrative.
Yeah.
Very Zappa-esque, that narrative.
Yeah.
And the phrasing, the way he's selling it, the way he's talking.
Yeah.
Telling the
Not
story.
so many odd timings with Dave. Well, a couple, but...
Yeah, the interesting thing, Bragg, if you remember the episode, and I asked him about the songwriting process, and it ultimately comes out that Dave just walks around the house with a guitar and drums some stuff, and if Claire hates it, he sort of builds on it from there. Yeah. And when I was going through YouTube trying to find some live footage, it would appear that's very similar to some parts of his live set, where it's just Dave.
He's always got a good band, and I mean Claire is just so solid back there on the skins. You know, she's just, she's not flash, but she just holds that groove down for him. It's so cool.
I want to know what that guitar is. That kept on distracting me. I don't know what the guitar is.
Dave's
his guitar.
Yeah.
It almost looked like it was one of those New Yorkie, what are they called? D'Angelico things. What do you?
Yeah, not sure what it was.
Too flash for Dave, one of those?
I'm just not sure.
It might have been custom made thing.
Yeah, I'm stumped, and yeah, I will. That's another rabbit hole for me at some stage.
Yeah.
So for those listening on audio, make sure you check out the YouTube version of the podcast, because otherwise you've got no idea what we're talking about.
Oh, sorry.
No, that's all right. So the guitar is quite a interesting guitar. So one person that is touring that I failed to mention, and he's one of my most favourite singers of all time, is Mick Thomas. He's got a tour happening as well. He's also released a new album called Where Only Memory Can Find You, and it's actually he's in the charts for the first time in 20-odd years with it. So the ARIA independent charts or Australian albums, I think he's both top 10. So well done to Mick Thomas. So now, the last one I'm going to defer to you two gentlemen, because there is a band called No Fixed Address that is doing a Sunset tour. And I didn't really know a lot about this band. So they're a South Australian band. I know that they're in the South Australian Music Hall of Fame.
I thought
and
they were
they're an
WA.
Indigenous. No, they're South Australian, my friend.
Okay.
So, and they're an Indigenous band. So what can we share with the audience about No Fixed Address?
They first came to prominence. They had a film made about them called Wrong Side of the Road in their very early days.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. Like, you know, like you think touring's hard? Imagine trying to tour as an Indigenous bloke with no resources.
Yeah.
And there was 3 prominent Aboriginal bands, I reckon, around that same time. No Fixed Address, the Warumpi Band, and Coloured Stone, who the boys are kind of up my way. They used to come into the shop in Townsville, like the boys from Coloured Stone, Bunna Laurie. And I love that. It's so Australian sounding, Rossi, these bands sounds.
It is.
You know what I mean? Such I don't know. It's got the downstrum. It's got the downstroke. A lot of it.
They're rock and rollers. They're absolutely rock and rollers, and they've been like they copped a lot of support from people like the Rumpies in particular, and No Fixed Address copped a lot of support from the Oils.
Yes,
and I know Shane Howard as well from Goanna is a strong supporter of all these guys.
Yeah,
and I know that I've worked. I did a tour with the drummer of No Fixed Address, and he was an extraordinary character. He changed, like traveling around the country with Bart. He taught me a lot about how Indigenous people see the country.
Yeah,
it changed. It made me understand that I didn't see things the way he saw things here, and that made me understand. Yeah, in my white guy way.
Yeah, isn't that so good? I just love that. You know. And that's all it takes.
Good fun
is to get in there and listen to what these guys have to say. If you want to just do it through music, you can do it through music. But actually talking to these guys and I love those film clips you see of them, of all those bands playing. They're playing somewhere in the outback at some station, or and it's just kids out dancing in the dust. They're on the back of a truck usually. A couple of VBs. I love it.
Doing what they
just looks killer.
Yeah, they're playing at one of my favourite venues in Sydney at the moment for Bolo, and I think this is a slightly delayed tour. They were supposed to have done it earlier, and I think it might have been COVID delayed, like everything else, I suspect.
So let's just play a little bit of a snippet from one of those film clips that Braggy was talking about. So this is No Fixed Address, From My Eyes. real reggae feel to their music.
Well, yeah, I was just going to say, Rossi and I just finished saying how rock and roll they were, and you put a reggae song on.
Yeah. But Bart was singing on that, and he's just got star power and charisma. Man.
Yeah.
Like you're in a room with him, you know he's there, right?
Yeah.
That's how I felt anyway.
Yeah.
You know, like, his drum kit was this decrepit, beaten down old thing, and then he sat behind it and just made it sing.
Made it work.
Made it sing. Wow.
So
I tell you,
22nd of...
sorry, I've got a story about Coloured Stone because they used to come into the music shop.
Yeah.
And very rarely I have a story. Usually Rossi's got the stories, but they were doing some tour right up the Gulf, you know.
Yeah.
And they had bought a keyboard off us. It was like a Roland. I forget exactly what it was, but you know they had a big truck and they just throw these things in the back, man. It was anyway. They came in. They were up for a tour, and they brought the thing because something had happened to the keyboard, and there was all these keys that were busted. Right? It was a Yamaha. It wasn't a Roland. It's all these keys that were busted. Something must have fallen on it. So
warranty. That's warranty.
We had to get these parts in. Anyway, we couldn't. For some reason, Yamaha did not have the B flat key in stock. Right, which is one of the black ones, Curly. And so it had to come from Japan or somewhere. We couldn't get it. So we phoned them up. We said, "Oh, guys, look, we're really sorry. We can't get the B flat key." And they said, "That's okay. We don't use that one. Just send it up." So we just wrapped it up and sent it up to them.
Classic.
But that's kind of
they
my
just
experience too.
That's it.
They make it work, man.
Yeah,
they make it work.
do.
And you know something else? They would run up an account and then they would go on tour and we would not see them for 6 months. And the boss would go, "Oh, I'm a bit worried about that." I said, "That'd be all right." And then they'd come back 6 months later, pay their bills completely. Always.
Yeah, I had a couple of microphones that went out on the Diesel and Dust tour with Midnight Oil and the Warumpi Band.
Yep.
When they came back, we just sort of like condenser mics. We unscrewed them. This red dirt came out. It was great. And they were no good to anyone after that.
Yeah, well, this keyboard was full of red dirt.
Yeah, it does. And that's what you talk about, those sort of venues they're playing, you know?
Yeah, that's it.
So they've actually got quite a big tour. So it kicks off 22nd of June at the Bowling Club at Marrickville. 5th of July, the Art Gallery of New South Wales. That's an interesting choice. 6th of July, they're at the Knob Reserve, which is in Stratford, Victoria. They've got a live stream happening 7th of July at 3RRR in East Brunswick. Then Barwood, the Barwon Club at South Geelong. 14th of Geelong. 16th of July, they're in Hobart. 11th of August, they're in Collingwood. Belconnen on the 13th. Finally, they're in Adelaide, Braggy. You don't get too much choice, but you've got a couple. So 24th of August at Her Majesty's Theatre, Adelaide. And 25th of August, they're playing the Three Brothers Arms at Macclesfield, South Australia.
Okay. Her Majesty's Theatre's just been done up. It was an old venue. It's just been renovated. I haven't been in there, but they say it's just gorgeous, like a real old theatre.
My spies tell me that Geelong, the crowd at Geelong is dependent on how well their side's gone. If their side loses, you have a bad night.
Oh, truly?
If they play well and they win, people kick on and have a good time.
They're not having a good year.
Interesting.
That's right.
So the final little snippet of a video we're going to play is from one of our great friends from the podcast, the gentleman called Mick Medew, released their video to evidently Boundary Street, shows a real little snippet of Brisbane life, I guess. And if you listen to the lyrics of the song, there's a little bit of angst, I guess, from Mick, because of the younger generation, but also the changes in Boundary Street. So Boundary Street's sort of like on the edge of both Spring Hill to the Valley, and it's a great little song.
watch the night, and on each side it's black and white. It's getting light as I move my feet. I'm walking free on Boundary Street. I gotta get down to my radio. I got particular places to go. I see the girls haven't had much sleep. They look so fine on Boundary Street. The punks moved out, the cops moved in. The kingpin shop for heroin. The valley moves to a different beat. It's not the same on Boundary Street. The new kids think they are better than me. I can't see how that could possibly be. The scent in the air is bittersweet. I'm walking home on Boundary Street. I gotta get down to my radio. Oh, I got particular places to go. See, the boys haven't had much sleep. They look so wild on Boundary Street. I see the girls haven't had much sleep. They look so fine on Boundary Street.
Really,
I fucking love it.
Yeah, it is. It's it's a great little song and really sensitive lyrics. Like he pays homage right at the beginning, you know, the black and white of the street, because Boundary Street in very early Brisbane days was the boundary for the Indigenous population. They couldn't go past the street of a nighttime or something. I'm not quite sure of the historical facts, but so he pays homage to that. And then I love that little bit where he says the young kids think they're better than me, and he's sitting on
How
his
could
Hall
that
of
possibly
Fame.
be?
Yeah, and he's sitting there on his Hall of Fame star. It's just such a magical.
That's a
it is a
great
magical
little
song.
Yeah, that's a great little tune.
I just like I can just hear like knowing Mick, I can just hear the Lou Reed in that one.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Lou Reed in his vocal styling, and he loves Lou Reed, as we all do. Urs and he are they're so happy together, and I just love to see it.
They look like they are.
Really love to see that, and like Mick's just
doing
it. Boundary Street's where he's from, right?
Yeah.
That's his home, right? Or it was for.
Wow.
I'm not going to say how many years.
Yeah.
Up until recently, Mick always and like he's always been a keen student of people in the city and all that sort of stuff. And I just love it. I love he keeps going.
One of the comments that when they put the video out there on social media, there was a person that said, I just didn't want that song to end. And it's got that real sense around it, that evidently.
Rossi's nailed it with the Lou Reed vibe, though. I just hear that. As soon as you said that, I went, oh, yeah, exactly.
It's the streets. It's street music. That's what it is. It's street music. And he's just, look, I'm biased. I'm biased.
So am I. But anyway, you're more biased than me. But Mick and Ursula, that's a fantastic tune and a great video. So let's go to part 3 of Who Am I? For
Who Can It Be Now? Dun, 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 dun. I love this bit. This is going to blow your minds, this bit. Between January and March 2012, I performed at several Ontario universities. In April, I began my first international tour, which included performances at Coachella and sold-out shows at the Bowery Ballroom in New York City, which were positively reviewed by Rolling Stone magazine. In September, I signed with Republic Records and began my first official concert tour, opening for Florence and the Machine, including 2 shows at the iconic Hollywood Bowl in Los Angeles. From that point, there was no looking back. Over the next 10 years, I would go on to work with such luminaries as Kanye West, Daft Punk, Beyonce, and many others. I contributed to the soundtrack for the movie Black Panther, headlined the halftime show at the Super Bowl, had 7 number 1 hits on the Billboard charts, won Grammys and Emmys, and was even included in an episode of The Simpsons. I currently have 105.92 million followers on Spotify, and my biggest hit, Blinding Lights, is Spotify's most streamed song of all time, with 3.332 billion streams to date. Better known as The Weeknd. My name is... Do you know what his name is?
It's something... Memorak?
Close. Abel Tesfaye.
Yeah. Yeah, The Weeknd. Yeah, you kind of got close to... I was thinking about when you said Florence and the Machine, I was thinking about the old gag that said... I saw someone make a meme saying, make your own Florence and the Machine album. Lock an owl in a wind chime factory.
Oh, Rossi. That's the line of the night.
The Weeknd. I would never have got that in a million years.
I know, but he's the most streamed person on Spotify.
And just some of those...
He wins.
Yeah, just some of those follower numbers, I still had no idea.
Staggering.
Yeah.
7 number 1 hits.
Yeah.
And he was on the fucking Simpsons, for God's sake. That's your star.
Kill for one.
Yeah.
That's big. That is so big. That is beyond big. I can't even fathom that.
It's unbelievable.
Hey, I got a question too that I thought it'd be good to put out to the listeners, Curly. What was the last rock song to be number 1 on the Billboard charts, and when? I don't know what it is, but I've got a feeling it's 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on what you... Yeah.
Define rock.
Yeah, define rock. That's the thing, because a lot of people would call their music rock today, even though it may probably not fit my definition of it. So,
well, it certainly wouldn't fit mine.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, you know what the difference is between rock and pop, don't you? Well, with rock, you might just get fucked.
And with that, I'm going to start the wind up. Just the last piece of news, and it is, depending on which side of the fence that you're on with this particular piece of news, it's either really, really sad, or it's, potentially even really, really sadder. So during the week, Mick Blood from the Lime Spiders announced his retirement from just about everything during the week. And while his career will be remembered for some of the best Aussie independent rock that he put out, he's also going to have memories those memories are going to be tainted by the demons that he faced and some of the pain that he's caused, and not just on himself but on many other people. So basically, he sold his guitar, his book. He currently still has his book, which is the reason why I'm sharing the news. However, It will not be reprinted again. So it's very clear that Mick's made a very definite line in the stand. So if you want Limelight, the Lime Spiders book, it's best you get to the Lime Spiders Facebook page very quickly and get in touch with Mick for it there. For the many who love the Spiders, for their music, it's a sad day. But for the ones that had a front row seat to the behaviour caused by his demons, there's probably many, many other emotions. So,
I just hope Mick's okay. That's all I hope for.
Yeah.
I just hope
well said.
I hope he gets looked after.
Yeah,
that's all I want.
Absolutely. So, he has a very special place in my music banks.
He's an icon.
Mine too, man. Mine too, mate. Those first singles, and like up until a few albums in, they're stellar. They were such a good rock band. Such a good rock band.
Very much so.
A good friend of mine who plays in a band that I love called the On and Ons, Clyde Bramley.
Yeah.
And Clyde
used to be in the Gurus.
Yeah, he was. Clyde's in America at the moment. And the On and Ons have just had their single picked up by Little Steven's Underground Garage, which is Steve Van Zandt.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he's got about 20 million listeners on his radio show. And the On and Ons have been named the coolest song in the world for this week.
Oh, wow.
But
get them on, Rossi.
But my segue point is that Clyde brought out PJ Proby, the 60s star, to Australia. And a book's just been released by another friend of ours, Brett, who wrote about their experience of PJ Proby. And it has parallels with Mick's story.
Okay. Oh. He was the guy who used to split his pants, wasn't he?
He was like the English Elvis. He was
on purpose, he used to split his pants, I think.
Yeah. He's Tom Jones, the Beatles, Elvis, all rolled into one.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, but Clyde might be one to get back on the show. He's got some very interesting tales to tell.
It would be awesome to get back on the show, Rossi. So we might reach out. So next week, we're hoping to be sharing an interview with someone who played a role in one of the bands of the new wave of British heavy metal of the 1980s.
This is going to be great.
So
now
some of the major bands in this movement included Def Leppard, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Motorhead, Saxon, but there was a whole range of bands that sort of created the sweeping.
Get your studded belts out, boys.
So
that's right up my alley.
So we're really looking forward to catching up with this person. Hopefully this Friday, fingers crossed, we get our time zones and you'll be hearing that particular conversation. So the band's still going. So this particular band started in 1981 and they're still going through various reincarnations. So that's also part of the story. So if you enjoyed the episode, please like and subscribe and leave a review. We're on YouTube, and if you're not watching our YouTube videos, you actually miss quite a bit of what we talk about and what we share. We're on Facebook, of course, TikTok. Check out our website at Unfiltered, undiscovered.com. Enjoy our Spotify playlist. It's just growing. It's immense. It's huge. And we need, if ever you want to hear new music or any of the songs that we talk about here on the podcast, we add it straight to the playlist. It'll do you for a weekend, I reckon, where you can just play it nonstop for a weekend. Now, the lyrics from the playlist, of course, this week comes from a band called Blind Season from Detroit, and the song's Empty Summer, and the lyrics are, the seasons change with grace, but you I can't replace. Thanks, boys. It's always awesome catching up with you guys. And to all of our listeners, thanks for tuning in. We shall see you next week with the new wave of British heavy metal. We'll see you then.
I'm feeling an empty summer.